Good evening, everybody.
What's up?
Oh. That is how you open up and start a show. So I ask for your undivided attention as we are about to get started. I always say, 1 or 100, we have a show. And when you come here to the open mic here at the Kula Cafe, it's more than just an open mic. This is a place that we connect on a deeper level, really try to dig deeper, understand more, and learn from each other. Hear our stories that we have to share, to see how that we all can grow from the lessons that we are given in this moment in time. We're all exactly where we need to be. So, my name is Brother Rodney. I'll be the MC for tonight. And this is an event sponsored by Konscious Youth Development and Service. And that stands for kids. That is Konscious with a K, okay? Don't ask me why we chose K for it. It's all came one day, and together it spelled out kids. It's actually my fiance's initials too, and like an encrypted message for those who, it'll be a fun fact when we make it real big. What is the original acronym of KIDS stands for? But it's an interesting thing how the world works. Anyway, for those of you who do not know, our mission statement is prepare and create future leaders through holistic interventions. That means we're trying to really help bring balance to the body, the mind, and soul. Really help not just our youth, but the community regulate themselves. Help them deal with all the trauma, all the pain, the suffering, and all the circumstances that we are given on a day-to-day basis, and realize how can we take back our power? How can we strengthen our health and nutrition? How can we bring back quality to our minds? How can we heal our souls in ways that we don't have to have a lot of money? These are tools that are very simple and practical that we all can do each and every day that will transform our lives. And Brother Mike will share some updates in a little bit. But before we get started, I forgot to give my shout outs. That's why I feel like it's been a while out here. Big shout outs to number one, Kula Cafe, Brother James, for always being a big support. He's really a great guy. There's a lot of great things here at the Kula Cafe. He might stop on the mic and share a little bit about what they got going on here in the Kula, because it's good to know what's going on in your community. Also, big shout out to Brother Dean Nelson and all that he does in support for us. This is a great guy. And I can think officially, man, we could call Dean's like our brother, man. It's more than just it's not business, man. This is actually us connecting on a soul level, understanding who we are as real people, and learning from each other and really making us better individuals. So I thank him for that and all he does with the food donations, but most importantly is the heart that he has for our program and how he really believes in what we stand for, and just the kind of guy that he is. He could care less if I say his name. He probably prefer I don't say his name at all. But since the mic is in my hand, the words will be spoken, And last but not least, welcome back to Karen Hayes and the Asbury Park TV. Yes. And to start this show off is our typical, this is how we've been rocking for the past couple of months. I think we're going to keep it the same. He's getting his breath, his chest ready to get up on stage. Everybody give a nice warm welcome and a round of applause for my brother, Mike, the real deal Mills. Clap it up. Clap it up. Clap it up.
Peace and love, everybody.
Peace.
Yes. This is beautiful. Thank you all for being here. This is what makes this. The first poem I'm going to read is called The Breath. All right. The ups and downs, the smiles and frowns, the good, the bad, the happy, the sad, the clear, the cloudy, the mountains, the valleys, the creation and destruction, the ease, the obstruction, the tall, the small, the rise and the fall, the peace and the chaos, the debt, the payoff, the love, the hate, the choice, the fate, the beginning, the end, the enemy, the friend, the birth, the death, the goodwill and death, the success, the fail, inhale, exhale, breathe in bless, breathe out stress. If I don't know one, I know none. If I know one, then I have felt both. Thank you. And that's really about just rolling with the punches. I was thinking about this the other day. When you're on a seesaw, if you're at the level just where it's just flat, then you don't know ups and downs. But if you've upped, you felt the up, and if you went down, you felt the down. But understanding that life is full of changes, and you just roll with the punches, the ups and downs, not trying to attach to it. This next poem is called Grateful Encounters. To the woman who told me I'm in the wrong profession, I should be a Ralph Lauren model. I'm happy you didn't see me. I'm happy you didn't see how unappealing my insides are. The debris from the wreckage, feelings of being alone, abused, and neglected. This life on the surface is what you see. But if only you could see who I truly am, the inside me. Imagine we change our lenses and modeling was only for our inner being. The beauty of our souls would be on a stage for all to see. Would you still consider me a model? Do you still find me attractive enough? Or would you tell me modeling school is the best option for me, and just maybe, you'll tell me modeling isn't my thing. There's just too many marks and too many scars, and you're just a little too thin. After all, this isn't the type of modeling for the malnourished. You have to feed your soul, put into it what you want out of it. Yes, this is certainly the plus size kind of model. Maybe you would tell me, if I'd like to be a model, I'll just need a little bit of work. Maybe not now, but we'll get there together. Because the beauty in your soul would refuse to leave mine alone and cold. This is the same beauty that spoke words of comfort to a complete stranger. The same beauty that walked through miserable habits of daily routine with a glowing smile. Maybe, actually most definitely, I would have stopped to say that you are gorgeous and your amazing grace touches the depths of depression. And you should be a model. Thank you. This last poem I'm going to perform is new. I just finished it Thursday, so I hope I have it down. I memorize my poems while driving, so I'm talking to myself, and it looks really weird because I really get into it. This poem is called Liar, Liar. You lied. You lied. He asked you from the valleys of depression and the mountaintops of insanity, is there someone else? And you answered from your mask of guilt, no one else. You said no when the truth was far more opposite. The infidelity finding true love outside the person you took vows to love. The truth more dangerous to herself than to anybody else. Her lie was a reflection of childhood broken promises she made with herself. A forgotten love is more diamond on the finger than anything her spirit has ever felt. My sweet soul, you have lost trust in yourself. You should have said yes. And that other person was revival to her flatline, was a hook to her punchline, was a person reawakened her passion with every drop of compassion, was a person that answered every cry from her heart, mended every piece torn apart, was the beauty to every mark, was the paintbrush to her art, was the ignite to her spark. This other person was her balance, her harmony, the missing link to her soul. For the first time in her life, she felt complete. She was whole. For the next time, he feels the insecurity to ask if there's someone else. Stand up strong with your blanket of comfort over your heart and say yes. And that other person is myself. And that other person was what she never knew she wanted and everything she ever needed. It was her journey to find abundance within herself when all else was depleted. Thank you.
So next up on the microphone, his brother has been, I think, the new MVP. Been here consistent, showing love and supporting. Always a great spirit to talk to, and is always as deep as the ocean goes. Everyone give a nice warm welcome for Brother Sean Slattery. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Very welcome, sir.
Okay, first off, I want to thank K.Y.D.S and all they do, and thank you to Kula Cafe for hosting, and thank you for the community to showing up for support and also to learn something. The first poem I'm going to perform is called, let's see if I can find it, maybe not. Okay, it's called Garden of Friends, and it was inspired by a magazine article I read in a magazine called Shambhala Sun, and it was about the beauty and power of spiritual friendship. So, Garden of Friends. Friendships blossom out of mud, from seeds of love and selfless care. The dirty water's never cleared, instead a tree grows tall and fair. A sturdy, strong, and pretty sight, from giving branches grows its leaves. In due time, fall back to roots, nurtured gifts of endless deeds. So when I step into the mud, I plant a friend and watch them grow. Full of light and heavy rain, that we plant is what we sow. Thank you. This second poem is about how much space there is out there and how we can really handle all things when we realize how infinite our world really is. It was based on a drive to work when it was raining, so I guess I was talking to myself too about poetry, and it's called Gravity Gray. Drops of rain unfold above my windshield, resting on a blink of time. Drip, 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 drip. The wiper blades do then invade, blowing such clouds onto the rubber ground. Over my shoulder approaches Land Rover, wheels turning to the tree of life. Now raindrops spin to washer-dryer cycles as the fire in the sky plays hide and seek. Foot settled on the pedal, I brake for a moment, and infinity clears nearer as my eyes breathe space ever open. This next poem is about a plant that is in my apartment complex that every day grows new flowers and they get bigger each day, so it's constantly changing, so it's called Formless Flower. The plant that lives outside my door, I know not of its proper name. Each year blooms a violet hue, yet never once each day the same. As I walk by each morning rise, we wave hello and then depart. Throughout the busy working day, her seed rests deep within my heart. And when at last I do return, in darkened skies of pale moonlight, our eyes do meet and whisper songs, angelic tunes of beauty's sight. I've got two more for you before I have a quick announcement to make. This one is called Humblicity. Seek not to know, only to understand. Be open to receive as well as lend a hand. Face all that arises, fear playing no part. If fear is the rising, then open your heart. Remember forever that nothing is separate, no deed too sour to never admit. In peace and light we can all forgive. Love can't be defined, it can only be lived. And then the last poem I have for you is a quick haiku, and it's called Equanimity. A flower blooms for the whole world to see, no discrimination.
That's the best one!
Okay, so real quickly, I have two announcements. The first one's real quick. There's a free library, a box outside on this side of the road that I just filled up with like 20 books. So if anyone's interested or likes to read, have a look. It's I didn't build it, but it says they're free, so I just filled it. And then I also wanted to make an announcement. I'll just pull up the page so that I have the exact information. Okay, so on July 4th, I'm doing an 18-mile overnight walk in New York City. It's for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and it's called Out of the Darkness Walks. And I have a fundraiser goal of 1,000. I'm close to 200, aiming towards that. So if anyone's interested in donating for the cause of helping people in crisis get support, and also spreading awareness about how suicide takes more lives than war and many other causes combined, feel free to see me after, and I can send you the link through either email, Facebook, or text, whatever way you feel most comfortable with. So everyone's welcome to donate, and all donations are appreciated. So thank you very much.
Everybody give some love for Brother Sean.
So before you get all comfortable, I know you got some, you probably talk from over there too. But that last poem you wrote, you call it equanimity? Equanimity. So tell me, because I was like, it's a bomb dropped in my mind. I was like, okay, no more words needed, but you could just feel the essence after you finish. So we want to explain to us exactly in more context what that truly means, equanimity.
Well, I can only speak for myself personally, but a lot of people I know also find a lot of beauty in nature. But if you really, okay, I'll start over. So I can only speak for myself, but I also know a lot of other people who find a lot of beauty in nature. And if you really pay attention, it takes a lot of abuse, yet keeps giving to us endlessly without any judgment or criticism. And it's also available for anyone to see walking by who has their eyes open. So the idea of like the blooming of a lotus metaphor or something, it really makes sense to me with the sense of nature in that it's constantly giving and also receiving a lot of abuse, but still continuing to give to everyone equally without any judgment.
Beautiful.
Very Sean.
See, there's poetry behind the poetry without even having the notes, you know. But thank you for Brother Sean. I appreciate that. Next up on the microphone, I got decisions. Which direction do we go? So, I'm going to call up to stage. This brother has been very consistent, very supportive, man. I know he's active in the poetry scene and always trying to bring some light into his place. So everybody give some noise and give some love for brother Sunlight the Poet. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up.
Peace and blessings. Let me bless the mic. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by the spoken word. I'd like to say thanks to the K.Y.D.S organization, to James, the Kula Cafe. Excuse me while I punch in, because I'm about to do a little verbal work. Verbal work. Metaphors punch in. Daniel in the lion's den. Verbal work, mail clerk, deliveries around the clock. Tick-tock, Grey Goose in the flock. Fermentation, animation, evaluation, salutation, applause to cheers. Tears to fears, sharp to spears, fawn to deers. Coming near like child support, payments in arrears, grinding of gears. Carriage of carnivals, cadence of clowns, unemployed message ready for hire. Thoughts wrapped in barbed wire. At quitting time, looming and blooming from being overjerked, dispelling and telling verbal work. This next poem is called Pow, Presentation of Words. Presentation of words, soul release fecal matter, empty bladder, hidden ladder, clean up batter, thoughts scatter, while dispersed they burst from a constant thirst. Saturation of tears fill a wishing well, metaphors play a game of show and tell. Adjectives have a very distinct rebel yell. And is there ice water needed in hell? Who wants to answer the door when the Grim Reaper is at your doorbell? Words whistling whispers while working, pushing poetic poems past popular platforms, grasping and not asking how they materialize, then take a bow from the detonation of pow. This next poem is called I Got Soul. I got soul cause I hold 7 keys to different mentalities. Unmasked, out of the cast, aged cognac in a flask, Jesse Owens in a 100-yard dash. Break fast, volcano blast, criminal past, car crash, eyelash pointing to the path of the universal language of math that divides, has rides, has 4 sides with high and low tides. Poem molester that doesn't hide, using a head first slide. Immunity, community, unity discovered and uncovered in the whole, revealing that I truly got soul. This last poem I like to do for you is called Not You. Not you, Looking blind, the saddest of times, poverty lines that pamp the minds, grins as second place wins, where liars befriend and the devil attends. Not you. Perception, rejection, connection, election, divides, homicides, ambulance rides, four sides. Not you. Claiming, blaming, shaming, naming, gaming, ideas, saturated tears, locked in a room with all your fears. Not you. What can turn gray skies to blue with less words than a haiku? Haiku. I'll give you a clue. A phrase that's timeless. The answer is I love you. But as truth never pretends, how often does a borrower lend? When cheated or deleted, do you give in? Confused, infused, bruised, set up to lose with no money. Can you pay your dues? Anybody out there want an IOU? Not you. Thank you. Sunlight the poet for now.
Everybody give a nice warm welcome for Brother Salvatore Swain, Asbury Park's own. Clap it up, clap it up.
Yes, you may.
All right. Got the track?
Yeah. DJ.
How we doing today, my beautiful people?
Fantastic.
Fantastic? All right. I just want to give a big shout out to the community for coming out and letting me share my soul. You know what I mean? Shout out to all the other poets. I know what kind of courage it takes to get up on the mic and even share. You know what I mean? My heart is racing right now. Big shout out to kids and all who has helped in the collective responsibility of raising consciousness of holistic efforts within our community. Big shout out to Dean. I see you, Dean. I got your beads on, Dean. Thank you very much for that. Shout out to APTV and the Kula Cafe. And before I start, I want to say something. I want to say your poems never truly start until you start telling the truth. So with that being said, I'm going to go into this poem that my first ever poem. The open mics hosted by kids is what inspired me truly to even start writing poetry. From the young souls to the old heads, writing poetry and just expressing themselves. As a young man growing up in a community like this, I was never taught to express myself. So the fact that I found this route and found this, not scapegoat, but basically art in a sense, that's really what it is. So we're gonna get into it. You want that? So this first poem is called The Game of Oppression. Duality forces us to see through the windows of the soul, and the worst thing us humans could do is have vision. Have sight but no vision. Staring into the countenance of the future, many of us are blinded by ignorance or blinded by influence. We are constantly being molded into this amid reality that forces us to believe that the only aspect of our beauty is our skin. Ridiculed, judged, misled is the real oppression. Forcing yourself to dust your feelings underneath a rug like a single mother who's scared to speak on behalf of her own children is the real oppression. That God that they tell you about in church, well, that God is within you. As I look up to the godly heavens with a gaping gaze, as I ponder on society and its dreadful ways, I shed tears for the babies and the single mothers who are oceans away, that are working to feed their families that are oceans away. I weep from that agony, laughing externally just to keep myself sane. Because as I look into the mirror, I see you. From the heartbreaks to the mental earthquakes, I shatter this illusion that makes us different. Because I know how it feels to play this malicious game of oppression. Society usurps our immortal possessions as I ask to the godly heavens and ask why we yearn for regression as we fall victim to the most basic obsessions. I just want to say, I love you. Because I can only imagine the pain that surrounds your heart. or that shame sounds from the tip of your tongue before you begin to talk, or the fear of being judged. I just want to let you know that you're loved. You see, the game of oppression is a paradox, because there shall be no winner. No one should be able to prove how much one has been through their entire lives, but yet we've been through so much. It is only until we stand and fight back, we eradicate the monetary oppression within our lives, then we eradicate everything. I pray as I say, let there be no games of oppression. One more.
Let people stop. Huh? Let people stop.
3 stories to share from all different perspectives. From gatekeepers to Eve angels, they're the ones who hold the message. Large form of oppression with tidal waves of deception. The city cries itself to sleep. No one hears, but no one listens. Peeping through the street code, I see right through your physical embodiment. Let's take a trip and let me be the pilot. Young girl about 15, living in a dark city with dark schemes, unaware of the nocturnal horrors. No dad at home, so she's constantly chasing a male figure, filling the void with teenage boys who are manipulative. But that's anything better than how she gets destroyed on the inside, so she opens up like a book. I would say they read her, but they don't even take the time to look, blinded by the sexual impulses, so she feels the need to sin, since there's no other abundance to express her needs. So she opens up, sucked dry of her energetic current, she's left hopeless. As she goes on a rampage, failing school, having sex, who would have thought that a 15-year-old girl would feel regret? No, not because she's having sex, but because she's not doing it enough to fill the void of neglection. So every time she gets intimate, she holds a sexual election, choosing the next best candidate for her sexual preference, losing herself in the meantime, blinded by love, but tricked into lust. But the worst mistake of it all, none of her partners ever wore a glove. So the best solution was to run. So she runs to the beach. The flip side, 15-year-old boy, never had a pops either. Moved into the new city, raised by women, but still never treated them equal. I guess he just never knew their worth. Mindset had him thinking that he can't be a victim to his environment. But when the streets talked, he listened. See, he felt like he was granted with a mission, since the only male figure was the city that led him to this resurrection. Selling drugs, smoking weed, only at the age of 15. Major intelligence with academic excellence. It almost never bothered him that he was being forced with oppression. So he ignored his faith. Had dreams of being a football player, but he's past those days. Thought he was a win-win since he was cool in the streets and got good grades. Thought he had it all together until he stopped hiding his emotion. The horrors of the city filled his heart and thoughts with too much commotion. Not enslaved physically, but to his thoughts he was. So he felt the best solution was to run. So he runs to the beach, not only loaded with emotion, but loaded with a gun. So we both stand at the breaking point, both 15, but both going through a mid-emotional life crisis. Contemplating suicide, we grasp for air as the cosmic wind blows a little too strong, and the city's conformities falls on our shoulders just a bit too strong. We stand frustrated with so much emotion, we scream through the body of water as the ocean's tidal waves is a replication of our thoughts. As nature and her ways comes to an end of days, the internal tsunami builds as we jump from the edge of the sand and immerse ourselves in an energetic vortex. We drown, but simultaneously in a drought of hope and love. They rise, grasping for air, she breathes so heavily. She's seen the deeds of the devil and now her thoughts aren't so heavily. He looks into her eyes and says, I hope that you remember me. And then he shoots and falls into the earth. And she seemingly follows right behind him. No thoughts, no emotions, no feelings at all. When the city speaks, we listen. Thank you.
Can we please give some love to Brother Sal one more time, man? I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, man. That second piece brought some tears to my eyes because when you were reading those stories, it reminds me of the kids I work with each and every day. And it just like kind of showed me that's the reality of the community we're living in right now. Just to see the expression and emotion, I'm like, man, this is real. You know, especially when like feel that emotion right now. You know what I'm saying? And I want to ask you, man, how was it like? Because I know that it's not just spoken words; those are actually experiences you have gone through. You know, from what you've experienced in the reflection of that poem, how do you try to bring forth a message to change what takes place in this community today?
Being able to express myself on a level like this in a gathering of community, excuse me, in a gathering of community, in a community, it feels so wonderful just to get together and release. You know what I mean? Just because I'm not only sharing stories that are just make-believe, these are actually real experiences. So the one thing that I encourage, as I said before, your poems don't truly start until you start telling the truth. So once I started, once I started showing my emotion, I post on Instagram not every day, but as much as I can to try to get young brothers like me and the ones who are in our middle schools or in our schools to express themselves. Because the emotional constipation that we face on a daily basis growing up in a city like this is unbearable in a sense. It is only until I realize of being on the brink of suicide how imperative it is to share yourself and express yourself. So I advocate for every person on the brink of suicide, on the brink of depression. I only can feel a fraction of how you truly feel. And these words only mean a fraction of how I truly feel. So I encourage everyone to just express themselves in any way, shape, or form. And it's honestly just a pleasure and a blessing to be able to do it. So thank you.
Get him on board.
Not today. But I don't think it can get much realer than that, And as a man, in moments like this, I probably sit in my chair and really squeeze in my abdominal muscles to prevent the tears from coming out. But I realize when I cry, I feel good, When I let go of the emotion I release, it opens up my soul. When I hold it back, that's when it creates the pain, the tension. And just recognizing that when you hear something that's real, that's pure from the soul, that's what wakes you up. Because you could walk in their shoes for that moment in time, because when it's coming from their heart, you're inside their heart when you're present in that moment. And like you said, sharing your story, because you never know what anybody's going through. You know what I'm saying? You don't know whose life that you're touching and connecting to. And I think this man's only a freshman, and he just finished his freshman year on college campus at Montclair State, And that is something that just trying to continue, and he's going to touch some more lives and continue to build more future leaders, man. Because the more young men we have like Brother Sal, I know the change is going to come. It's only a matter of time. And this is Asbury Park's own too as well. So never forget the kids that are in this community at all times. So thank you for that, sir. Man. Whew.
That can't be top, man. That can't be
Oh
top.
yeah, we continue to build on the energy, man. But as I told you, this is more than just an open mic, folks. Okay, and you're gonna feel the energy in the room, and let those words marinate, man. Think about those things. And if you need some help, we got support, man. We got a great staff of people. Just talk to us. That's what we're trying to do. Give you the tools to deal with those traumas. Because you might think the outlet is that gun, but you can realize, sit down and breathe for 5 minutes, Try doing the yoga for 15, 20 minutes, an hour. See how that makes you feel. And that's something that's healthy. Write it down on a poetry. Talk to somebody. Let someone listen to you and find those mechanisms that's going to help you overcome. Because we'll all go through it in certain kind of ways. And like they said at the Yoga Gangster training, if it's hysterical, that means it's historical. astronomical, meaning that no matter how small it may seem to you, that's a big deal to that person. And it's our job as brothers and sisters that we're all connected at the deepest level, like how you drop that in there subliminally in your first poem, and it's just showing that I have to find out how can I assist my fellow brother to the best of my ability, and stop asking them what is wrong with that person, but ask what happened to that person. You know what I'm saying? Because something in their life created that individual response, and that lack of ability to control our emotion. And the meditation, the sound bowl, the yoga are the tools that we're trying to bring to this community and to the youth to help them realize who they can truly be. Because there's one thing that's for sure, we gotta keep moving forward. That's where you're at, but look at where you're at right now. That's the beauty of it all. So thank you, Brother Sal, man. That was something special. Always something good when he comes up on the microphone. So you definitely got to come back, man. That's one thing. So, but next up on the mic, man, please give some love for Kareem the Dream. I made that nickname up myself, but give some love. But one quick announcement before you bless the microphone is, remember, one rule we have here is appropriate language only. So I ask that we be mindful of the language that we use and have a great, wonderful time. Yeah, you want to hold the mic or want to put it stand?
Man, move this out the way because it's going to get in my way. How y'all feeling tonight? That's what I'm talking about. Y'all wild, yo. I don't have no title for my joints that just go, cause that's how it flows, just like the Delaware River. Looking into the hourglass, I see how hours pass. You can catch me living fine with the rhyme that's mine, refusing to decline my grind until it's absolutely time. The beat keeps calling, though my love for the game is falling. Hasn't hit rock bottom, though my skills won't let me stop them from proceeding to emanate them. Rappers with no skills, don't you hate them? I would if I could, I shan't because I can't. Muster up the energy to attack those who offended me. Simple-minded pretenders, trying to figure out how much money I sent you through the telegram. I'm telling you, man, feel like doing it to death, or at least one day before my final breath. So sick of hearing out all these thoughts caught me sleeping. People how I need to be creeping behind enemy lines, simply because that's how I find the energy to bypass all sympathy, have a life what it's meant to be. Essentially, exponentially good, like living rooms down in Tennessee. I got more. Oh. They think I'm crazy and lazy, but I'm just brain injured. Got hit by a few cars, but I still stay limber. Call me the rhyme sender, choosing to be a mind bender, striving to stay chill, even though it's not December. 3 to the 5, going on a ride, over to the other side of the year. Old enough to buy some beer, but I don't. Old enough to drive, but I don't. Take a risk like that, thinking I'd get right back to the way I used to be. I've been around a couple times, so go ahead and get used to me. I'm thankful for everything I receive, even that bottle of Cool Breeze. Got me smelling like a true G. Sitting in that shop right now. When Ryan comes to get me, I'm gonna be like, wow. Now let me get to the other hand of this brother man with the other plan, to walk around and just jam, with the tunes coming out the radio. I remember when they played me though. Alright. I don't know if I did this before. I performed a few times, but I'm doing it again. Ain't no such thing as race. We all the same underneath. So how can there be beef when we all need to eat? With respect is how each should treat. Heck I'm talking about. We all cannibals as animals, except for the herbivores. Yeah, you heard me, Lord. It's just people who eat plants and stuff. Talking about they don't have enough money to be vacationing. I was sitting on the beach asleep until mother did some awakening. Said I needed straightening of the bed in the hotel room. I had a misconception where I can't tell who is really real or really fake. Cause I ain't trying to get famous and have myself look like an anus. I do open mics and poetry slams where I can explain it exactly how I see it until the event is completed and or my life force is depleted. I got me a goal, and it is to be happy, keep laughing, and refrain from being sappy. Times get tough just like tappy. From love I was fasting. While I'm rapping is exactly what I'm asking. Guess I'm done basking, but I am not finished graphing. The plot is still unraveling, even though certain points were kinda sorta challenging. Maintaining my sanity got me cooling out like a manatee. Second floor of my building got me like I'm in a canopy. Checking on the internet this morning, getting verification of why the bird is flipped up toward this nation. Then again, we all fam, ain't no need be hating.
Yes. Everybody get some love for my brother K.Y.D.S, man. Always so much life, always so much soul coming out this man. Yo, brings a certain energy to the stage. Yes. Thank y'all for coming, beautiful people. I hope you enjoyed the essence you received, man. Yes. So next up on the microphone, I am going to do my best to read. I can read it. Okay, I was going to say, yeah, I remember he had a very wonderful poem about vegetarians and vegans last time that really blew my mind. I was like, man, it just had me joking and laughing all over the place, man. He's back again for more, and I hope he got some lovely stuff to share today. Everybody give some love for Brother John. Brother John, clap it up. Clap it up.
Thank you, Rodney. Well, this piece is not about vegetarianism. It's actually about the horrors of crack, and it's a rap that I wrote a little while back, and I'm just in the process of putting some beats behind it and everything in the studio. But let me see if I can remember it correctly. It's called Cracked Up. Hot wire turning black, balled up churro on the rack. Hit that mother till you tire, hold it in good, bang that fire. Stare at the blinds for 25 hours, lips on the glass, it's your baton. Then you crash like a wounded bird when your stash just about gone. Zombie eyes reflect wasted years, all your credit is in arrears. All your family shake their heads in tears, now ain't the time for high fives and tears. Down on the carpet, looking at feet, your ration expired including your tweak. Change in your pocket, nothing to eat, your body for sale, out on the street. Demon got the hard when you need to re-up. His office is a crackers, he sell his sister for $1. You could have a heart attack, he'd say, aw shucks, or your dead body in the trunk of a stolen Ram truck. Once pretty girls now with pockmarks on their cheeks, keep their lips buttoned up to conceal their missing teeth. They ain't saying prayers when they get down on their knees, and all the loved ones stare back helplessly and weep. Thank you. This is another piece about the horrors of drug addiction. Black Balloon Day is something I became aware about. It occurs in March, and it's a day basically for all the families that have lost somebody due to an overdose or addiction. And I kind of wrote this little piece after learning about that. It's kind of like a poem song, and I'm gonna try to do my best with it for you tonight. Nobody can catch black balloons. They soar through the sky towards the sun and moon. It happens daily from July to June. Short-changed lives extinguished far too soon. Offer the attraction of the needle and spoon. A state held hostage without a gun. Its leader out of town on an election run. No beds available under the Jersey sun. Who there amongst us doesn't know of someone or family broken due to a reckless run? The funeral service has just begun. People are whispering about what you done. A mother weeps for her only son. Emotional baggage that weighs a ton. You lost a game that you could have won. Black balloons for each and every one. Troops guard the fields beneath the Afghan sun. You meant no harm, just selfish fun. They were laid on the scene with that Narcan gun. A generation deleted, an epidemic has begun. Thank you very much. And this is, I think I.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and this is a little bit of a lighter piece. I wrote this, I guess about a week or so after the last time I was here. And this one goes out to Brother Rodney, Brother Mike, and Brother James back there. The Kula Cafe, keeping it real, giving us starting artists a forum to say what we feel. The Kula Cafe, keeping it real, down the block, shots ring out in the dark, but tomorrow's a brand new day. We'll plant some seeds at Liberty Park. The Kula Cafe, keeping it real, everyone's welcome, light or dark. I try my best to squeeze out some sparks. The Kula Cafe, keeping it real, showing the community that it's caring. Speak your mind, share your thoughts, just remember, no damn swearing. Kula Cafe, it can get pretty dicey on the streets of America's hoods, but there's always some righteous beings that can always see the rainbow at the end of the darkest woods.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for letting me share.
And I think I'm starting to see a common theme tonight, is us experiencing trauma and the various ways that we're using to cope with these traumas that we've experienced. One aspect may be I'm hooked on these meds, I'm not getting these meds no more, and what can I get? The next best thing, because me taking a deep breath is not gonna ground me enough because where I'm at traumatically, but realizing that we have to all find healthy ways to cope with what we've been through, no matter how small or big it is, and I think the thing is finding people to talk to, I'm saying? This is what this platform is about. To share your story, release what's on your soul, but finding things that's not going to cause detriment to yourself. Because when you addiction, that doesn't hurt just you, it's hurting your whole family. The people that support you and love and care about you. That's why it's like, as everyone in this room, man, we may not be no social worker or psychologist, but we can still reach out to the people next to us in our lives. You know what I mean? When you see someone that has their head down, ask them, man, how are you feeling today? You may not even know them. You might just be walking in the supermarket, but those might be the first time that they've heard those words in a very long time. And that's why I say we all can make a difference. I don't care who we are, but by hearing these stories, that means that's someone that you've walked past someplace in your life where you've had someone that you haven't been able to recognize. But now that we're a little bit more conscious and aware, we can make that difference. I thank you for sharing that. And it's just a theme that's coming up over and over again, from the homelessness to the suicide to the drug overdose, and it all connects. Even though it may seem separate, it's all entangled as one. So thank you for sharing that. Next up on the mic, yeah, you don't got to clap for me, but I know. Karen love a good clap, though. I know. It works for the tape, though, honestly. A good clap works for the tape, just so y'all know. Sounds like, don't give me that look, man. Don't give me that look. All right, next up on the mic, man, we got a first timer here on stage, man. I actually had my first real conversation with him yesterday at the red carpet event at Asbury Park High School. Just a real quick thing. Someone came through on a horse and carriage for the prom, man. My mind was blown the way. I was like, yo, you don't see everything. You heard a little trotting around. Like, am I hearing something? This is a new song that's out on the radio that I don't know about. Do the trot, and all of a sudden you see a horse and carriage pull up, and I'm like, man, it was beautiful though. I was like, hey, she did it there. She did it there. Only a junior though. I guess she's coming in a helicopter next year though, just to kind of ante up it. But you know, the money goes to a good cause. I can't complain. You know what I'm saying? But next up on the mic, man, this young brother, I've seen him throughout his time in high school. Very humble, very quiet. He's a ball player, grinded out here. He also goes to Montclair State University. Don't know him quite as well as Sal, but I know his head is on his shoulders from watching him interact throughout his time in the high school. He's also going to be a res life counselor as well as Sal Swain, and he's a young leaders setting themselves up for success in their life. And again, a product of Asbury Park. Everybody give it up for Brother Will. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up.
Hold the mic or how you want?
Nah. All right, I'm kind of nervous. I haven't done this in about 3 years, but I have that to thank Sal. We go to school together, so I see him a lot, and he actually encouraged me to come back and actually express myself again. I went through a rough patch a couple years ago, and like he said, you don't know what anybody's going through, and I was going through a lot myself. So I use writing to cope with that. So I dug this up. Basically, at the time, I was in Ocean Township, and it's predominantly white, so I was like the only black male in all of my classes, and I had a lot of racism to deal with, and it was a lot for me, and it took a lot out of me, and that's why I stopped expressing myself. But just realizing that I can't stop expressing myself, I have to keep loving myself, because expression is the only way I can love myself. I've been doing that for years, so for me to stop, it just took a lot out of me. So I call this expression. Bear with me, it's been a while. I had a dream of a smile, its curve of motion descriptive of a tempting appearance. Apparently, we gave way into believing that curves were made only to change the way in which we count our steps, the reason we hone our depth, the reason why we ask for love and then treat it like there's always space left, but really, we fail to give it a rest. And we push on and on with familiar forces splitting our only breaths, and we ask ourselves, what's next? Do we leave our future's past behind us in order to cope with our decision to love again? Or do we continue to give way into our curves of expression? While we listen to that lone speech impediment in our dream, we become numb to an idea of love. Loveliness, lovingly loving, a forever symbol of expression. Do we give way, or do we let our future's past lead us on to believe we have space in our presence? You decide how much you give, but you decide to take a curve of your mind in order to straighten the issue. Why not straighten your curve? Why not curve your expression? Likewise, I am not an excuse for your lack of honesty, because honestly, I could care less whether or not you give what's real. If you are wrong, at least be real with the fact that you left your expressions in a made-up reality. They are only to determine this very statement. Express what you feel, and you will live what is expressed. Thank you.
Well, don't go nowhere too. You get question time yourself, my brother, man. That was pretty deep, you know what I mean? And another common thing, we got love in the building, but expressing what is really real. And being a young man, and I had something similar because I grew up in Marlboro, New Jersey. I grew up in Marlboro High School, man. And I remember when I first moved in there, looking around me, I was the only person. I moved from Union, New Jersey to Marlboro, New Jersey. And it was a culture shock for myself. But as much as the shock was, it helped me learn to interact with cultures on both sides and realizing that now that I could connect with people, part of the inner city as well as people on the other side, and realize that we have more in common than separate, but being pushed where people have their own stuff, they put it on you, they look at you like you're different because they don't understand you. You know, and it used to make me a lot of angry too, but I did meet folks that I could connect with, but it wasn't an easy situation at first, so I could definitely connect with that and all. But for you, I want to understand, when was it starting to become easier for you to express your real self and not being afraid to speak on who you truly are as a man and not having to walk around with a mask?
That's a great question. Honestly, I have to say it was junior year because I learned that people look at you a certain way, but you can't let that affect how you think about yourself. So once I realized that me as a person, me and what I have to say, it is important. So I started to express myself, whether it be through writing, sports, anything. And once I got to Asbury, I have to be honest, once I got to Asbury, I felt home. And I was at Neptune. I went to 3 different high schools. I was at Neptune, Ocean, and Asbury. And everybody was telling me, Asbury is hood. You're not going to get nothing out of it. Let me be honest. I got a lot out of it. I felt at home in Asbury because everybody treated me like I belonged. Like it wasn't any racism. It wasn't any assumption, any doubt. And the first person that gave me that feeling was Sal. Like he really did. He was the first person I actually met at Asbury, and he told me, "I'm here for you, brother." And he always been here for me. So, I mean, that's all. I can't even say much.
Yeah, let a tear drop, brother. Let a tear drop. There you go, bro. Yeah, man. Asbury, get a snap, baby. Get a snap, too, girl. Get that here. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. I'm Ronnie Solomon,
I'm Michael Mills. We're at Kula Cafe.
and you're watching APTV.